We're talking about mental fitness in a distracted world. This is the ability to maintain emotional, cognitive, and psychological well-being despite very stressful and overwhelming, demanding environments. This is becoming a growing challenge in modern life because we are filled with distractions and so many of them are digital. So today we're going to talk about some strategies to enhance your cognitive endurance and your mental health resilience. The parts of the brain that are most involved here are the parts that are responsible for focus, for memory, and for critical thinking. So we're talking about the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the amygdala. Mental fitness, how good your brain is working, how well you're taking in information, your efficiency, your centeredness is very important for daily life. This is going to determine how well you work, how productive you are, how stable you are in your emotions. The demands that we have on us right now for multitasking and information are completely beyond human capacity and really create a not so great mental state that many of us are living in. The average attention span is decreasing due to the constant barrage of notifications, scrolling, content consumption, emails we have to respond to night and day. There's very few boundaries on when are we actually offline. Social media platforms are designed to keep us engaged and to distract our focus. If you notice, little social media programs are becoming briefer and briefer and briefer. And this is part of why I've rejected TikTok, because I don't like the idea that information can be distilled down to a 7-second snippet. I'd like to think that people can sit with high quality content for at least a few minutes. So research tells us that screen time and the effects on our cognitive function really do have a one-to-one relationship in terms of decreased attention, creating almost an attention deficit-like phenomenon in our memory. So in the year 2000, the average human being, we could pay attention for 12 seconds pretty effortlessly. Today, 2025, just 5 years later, that is shaved down to 8 seconds. This is even shorter than a goldfish's ability to pay attention. When we are multitasking and managing different things, our quality of work in all those different things actually decreases. So multitasking lowers efficiency and productivity. So switching between tasks makes you 40% less good at every single one of those tasks because we can't shift attention effortlessly or without consequence. There actually is a transition period in our cognition where we go from task A to task B and we're losing something. We're not holding on to everything in task A perfectly. We're not perfectly absorbing it. There's a price to pay when you lose track and go back to it. We also know that every notification, every time our attention is called to the phone, this is a release of dopamine. This is what leads you to have that feeling like I have to check my phone compulsively. The second I wake up in the morning, I have to check my phone. And this causes mental decision-making fatigue. This actually reduces our brain's ability to work efficiently because we're really spreading ourselves too thin. We even have 90% of people who have phantom phone syndrome. So this is a feeling that something in their phone is buzzing or calling or notifying them when it actually is not. So some people will say, well, as a neuropsychologist, don't you think that mental stimulation is good? That cognitive engagement is brain healthy. It's one of the things we should do. Yes, it is in service to neuroplasticity. However, there are human limits. There are human limits to the ability to take in information, to be spread so thin. So in the right context, a little bit of multitasking is quite good and can support the strengthening of neural connections, improves our problem-solving abilities. But what we know is right now we're living in a time where the calls to action for our brain have never existed before. And we actually need to reduce our input in order to prioritize the quality of our output and our own mental well-being. It is not normal, it is not healthy to constantly be available to to do more. So 3 techniques that you can take away from this video include the deep work method, single tasking, and minimizing your digital interruption. So let's just talk a little bit about what this all means. So deep work method is basically you have one task and you are exclusively going to focus on that task. You are going to block out noise in your environment. You might use noise canceling headphones. You're going to create a visual environment that is relatively free of clutter, and you are going to focus on one task to the exclusion of everything else. You are going to make sure that you have your phone turned off. There's actually an app for that, ironically enough. You are going to focus for 10 to 15 minutes exclusively on one thing, and then allow yourself an intentional break. You need to get up, get some physical movement. You need to do some breathing. You need to move your spine. You need to get outside, get some fresh air. This is going to give you that balance of unstructuredness and mental clarity, which will allow you to go back to deep focus. The longer you do this, the more you're going to train your brain to pay attention for longer periods of time. If you just stay on your phone all day and are scrolling social media, that shapes the way your brain wants to take in information. And anything that goes beyond your threshold of 8 to 10 seconds is going to feel like it fatigues you or it's not interesting to you. That is not normal. I also want you to think about the importance of a whole foods diet and hydration. So the nutrients that we really need for being able to sustain attention include omega-3 fatty acids. So think about eating fish, thinking about eating raw nuts. Antioxidants that are found in berries, dark chocolate, and B vitamins found in leafy greens. Even when we are 1 to 2% dehydrated, this can reduce our ability to pay attention, make new memories, and our processing speed. If you put someone in an MRI scanner and look at their brain, when they're dehydrated, the brain actually shrinks and forces it to work harder and has to put in more effort, more metabolic effort to get the same output. That's going to make you mentally tired quicker before you would be otherwise. We also know that inadequate hydration reduces oxygen and the ability of the nutrients we eat to get into the brain, which again affects decision making and reaction time. Dehydration can also make us anxious and irritable, making it harder to focus and process information. And finally, with all of this, sleep has never been more important. With all of this input, we actually need to have that long period of letting go, being able to not be bombarded by information, have our normal biological systems exist without having to manage input. So maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, reducing the blue light of screen time at least an hour before bed, and creating a relaxing bedtime routine so your brain gets the message. This is what we do before we shut down and accept sleep. We stop with the input of information. The lights change. Maybe we listen to a little bit of music. Maybe we read. Maybe we take stock of the day. Maybe we think about 3 things that we're grateful for. If you do these things in a ritual-like fashion every night, you're going to walk your brain and your nervous system down the steps of overstimulation. So I want us to all set a goal, okay? And I'm going to set it along with you. So for our well-being, what can we do in a single tasking fashion this week that would be new and different for us? So can we sit and actually read 10 pages of a book at night instead of being on our phone? Can we practice mindfulness, being in the moment more often? Can we commit to not reaching for our phone first thing in the morning? Building consistency into small, sustainable habits is what's actually going to make the difference here. So I want to know, A, what you're going to do, and how confident are you that you can make this change? So give me a number from 0 to 10 once you tell me your thing. And as for me, what I'm going to do is try to focus on mindfulness. So I have been reading a book called Fear, which is in the Buddhist tradition. And what it's really talking about is how to constantly return to the moment and not be swept up in the what ifs of the future. So one of the mantras that they are encouraging me as a reader to say to myself when I notice I'm drifting or distracted is that I have arrived and that I am home. And so if you see me in my everyday life, chances are I'm gonna at some point in a few minutes time be thinking of that, because I'm really trying to focus on now of the value of the moment. So that is my commitment. What's my confidence level? I'm I'm feeling like I'm like an 8 or a 9. I'm feeling like I'm motivated. I'm ready for a change. I'm tired of feeling spread so thin. I want to be more appreciative of all the amazing things that are happening to me in the moment. And I think that's an evidence-based strategy to do so. So I hope you guys join me. Let's do it together. Take care. Bye.